good evening, and welcome to this edition of the Island Stat Sports Show. I'm your host, Earl Based, joining me as co-host Jason Juglin J. Ford. We have two members of the PHC TD committee, the chairman, Omar Shakir, and Ibu Barry. Jay, this evening, I guess we're going to find out a lot more about the Pembroke Hamilton Club, not just being a football club, because obviously everyone would know that that's what they're known for, winning titles, winning trophies and all the like on the football field. But knowing from the community area, know that they're more than that. They help out their members and others in aiding them to get to schools, to do so much around the community. And we want to actually give Omar an opportunity to just give us a brief overview of Pembroke Hamilton Club.
Sure. Thanks, appreciate it. Thanks for having us on, and good evening to your listening audience. I don't want to get it wrong, so I'll put my head up and do a bit of reading for a minute. I do apologize to the viewers. I want to make sure we give you the accurate depiction of our background and what we're all about in terms of community service. Pembroke Hamilton Club has a proud history of success through football competitions. We've won FA Cup, Friendship Trophy, and the league title at least 10 or more times for each of those. Handful of times for the Martin Muir Cup and Charity Cup and Dudley Eve Cup in around 7 or 8 times. We've been in existence since 1957 when Key West Rangers agreed to join PHC. Additionally, some Pembroke Juniors players also joined the club. Some of those who are a little bit older than myself might remember those names. PHC's proudest movement of achievement was a very successful CONCACAF campaign we had in the early 80s, and we also were joining that competition later on in that decade as well. So we're very proud of that history. But enough about the football, more to what we came to talk about here today. Underlying mandate of the Pembroke Hamilton Club is to encourage, promote, and engage its members, their families, and the community in sports, educational, and other recreational activities to enhance the quality of life throughout the community. At PHC, we strive to build the character of every one of our members, and through our programs, produce experiences which we all have had a positive effect on our community. Over the decades, we have aimed to build upon a culture of community service through various events, initiatives, contributions, and by doing so have been able to reap the rewards in the form of talented and committed volunteers, which are the foundation of our program's success, I might add. We continue to humbly boast over a couple of decades that for any given year, vast majority, if not all of our active coaching resources have either played through our youth ranks, played for our senior team, or both, and have decided to come back to the club and contribute in a similar way. To support our public service principles, also several years prior to the BFA's requirement, I might add, PHC instituted the requirement for its coaches to be CPR and first aid certified, as well as receive SCARS training, which is fully covered by the club. So we were actually ahead of the BFA in that regard, but we just saw it as a good idea nonetheless because of the value of those programs and having those skills on board. PHC has long recognized the importance of the mental, social, and physiological components in sports. These aspects of the game can often be overlooked in youth sports. Our focus on these pillars includes such things as team politics, appropriate behavior amongst players, reasons for taking the field, i.e. interests in drivers, and also diet and lifestyle, to name a few. Common language through age groups and support throughout a player's formal education are designed to develop critical thinking players and productive adults in society. We're encouraged and expected to demonstrate good sportsmanship and a positive attitude at all times in order to respect parents, spectators, referees, club officials, coaches, opponents, as well as each other. So that's a bit of a background on us as a short blurb. It's a lot more we do in terms of breakdown, but that's overall our vision and our mantra for what we do and how we serve the community.
Ibu, can you just give us a bit of the core values of PHC?
All right, so thanks, Earl. So basically, the first core value is develop the players. So developing the players, not just the football player with his technique or her technique, is develop the person. So we look at player discipline, we look at community organization, we look at communication with coaches, happiness. You know, football is about having fun, so that's very important to us. Role models, where the coaches can be role models as well as older players can be role models to the younger players.
Mm-hmm.
And that role model could be a year older than the younger player, because most of our games are like basically back to back to back. So you could watch you could be an under 11 and watch an under 13 game an hour after your game, and you could have a role model that's playing an hour after you. So that's very important too. Academic improvement. We have a whole academic program that where we monitor students throughout their scholastic terms, and also supporting the families. Um, let's say, for example, the player's not doing so well in school and he needs or she needs extra motivation to get those grades or to try harder in school. Football is always a great influence into changing behavior. You know, the threat of not being able to play a game works wonders. It works wonders. And we've seen this over the years, and it works very well for us and works well for the parents and also the players. So those are like the main core values. There's a few more, but I think those are the most important ones right there.
Sure. I know Jay is licking his lips because he claims to be a zebra, but he's actually a more tall guy. So Jay, you have any questions?
I'm from somebody who's just blue and blue. It hurts. It hurts.
Hey, listen.
Okay, so first things first. Good evening, guys. And these two guys will probably tell you. Just see me. They knew where my heart lies. So we don't have to have that conversation. But it's saying that obviously, you know, I'm a bit biased when it comes to this club because I've been around and I've seen from the inside and outside the transition of this club.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at the mid 80s, late 80s, as many people would have known, would have been the strike force. And at the time, there was a lot of winning going on at the club. A lot of winning going on at the club. And there was a transition I felt, and it could have happened prior to that, but it was a transition I felt when after these group of guys go, what do we do with all these youngsters that we have? Because even though PAC still has some good, strong youngsters, I felt the emphasis started getting away from just winning and actually taking care of the person.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I looked at some of those teams, and Earl, you remember that the strike force teams, we saw some of those players go in and out of the team and go to different teams and come back and this, that, and the other. And it looked like PAC made a conscious effort to say, you know what, when you want to go, see, the make sense coming back because we're going to bring what's coming through. I say that to say because when you go to the 90s, the club, they lost the club.
Mm-hmm.
Lost the club. And once again, you would think from the outside looking in, this could be something that could be very detrimental to the programs. I believe the foundation, I think, was in its infancy at the time or about to start at the time, but was very young in its infancy.
Mm-hmm.
And I have seen, and I've bragged about it to many people, that a club that didn't have no physical structure had actually increased their programs, increased their teams, increased their sports. The majorettes, I remember majorettes being just a few to hundreds. I mean, almost 100, right? So when you look at something that wasn't, there was no structural building, but internally the structure was growing. It was growing and growing. When I look at the likes of Omar and Malik Fabler and Glenn Bean and some of these guys who came after Kyle and Vincent Cotrard and those guys, I'm wondering, and I say I'm wondering because I actually know I didn't really know the reason, but that formal education that you guys got, did it allow you guys to come back home? Because now you played, some of you guys played in the collegiate atmosphere, some played in a professional atmosphere. be able to bring some of those templates back home and help prove the structure that you guys had. So that's my first question. There's some of those templates you saw abroad help structure what we're seeing now in PAC.
No, very good questions and some good observations there. I would say off the bat, having a influence outside of Bermuda in a more global, I guess, setting, that always adds a bit to your experience and to your understanding. Because obviously Bermuda is a small place, it's a big world out there. So being overseas and experiencing other cultures, other ways of doing things, and especially being in a college environment, which is what I think you're referring to, or higher education, at least, it teaches you things that you can come and bring back to your community, organization, how to be dedicated, how to be committed to your studies, things of that nature, how to manage yourself, how to be independent, all these things, the life skills, you know what I mean? And to be able to bring it back home and pass on the knowledge to other generations is invaluable. I wouldn't want to take any credit even there to say that some of the names you mentioned drove some of those changes, although we were recipients of the benefits. But I would have to give credit. And I hate to start dropping names because you always miss people. But I think anybody at our club would mind mention that Mr. Mark Wade was a big reason for the change that you're describing over the decades. I can say that there was a point in time where you're correct. We did look at our structure and see if we were doing things the way we wanted to do and if we needed to make changes going forward. Not to suggest we were doing things incorrectly, but I would think it was a good evaluation to say, do we need to change direction and do things strategically different? And Mark Wade had a very heavy hand in bringing the club along in some new directions, some new insight, because he's had a plethora of experiences in the coaching realm and with kids and overseas experiences and the like over the years. So he brought a lot of us in as coaches. If it wasn't for Mr. Wade, you probably wouldn't see me here in front of you right now. Neither Mr. Barry and a whole bunch of other names I could mention. But yeah, so he would get, I think, some well-deserved credit there for that shift that you're alluding to. And the rest of us, I think, have bought into that vision and kind of jumped into to help as much as we can. So there's that side, but we all have a passion and desire to lend a hand and move the club forward. Yeah.
Can I add something? I would like to say there was for me personally, I learned a lot from when I was a teenager or even a young child from my coaches as a kid. So like the likes of Livingston Tuzo, Cal Simons, Cal Waldron, Antoine Pitt, Kenny Mills. When he was first started to coach, that's when I was like a bantam at that time. So we've had these people, these pillars in our community that were basically showing us the right way. And that's kind of led to a lot of that generation becoming coaches, 15, 20 years down the line.
Sure.
Yeah, just to even add to that, sorry, Ibu, to add to that, a lot of the things we have in place at the club are not new in terms of principles and priorities. It may be a bit more structured and formalized, some of the things we do, but like Ibu said, when I came through as a youth player, it was much of the same mantras, community involvement, togetherness, family oriented. Those things have been entrenched in us as a culture for decades and decades and decades. And it's something that we pull on when we look for volunteers to give back, because we know, just like we have that affinity for the club for what it gave us and how it educated us in those off-field ways, we know everyone coming through after has the same experience. So when we approach people, they typically want to help out as well. We don't get told no often. We just usually have to go and ask. So, and if they have time, they'll typically jump in and help. So yeah, it's been a long road, but it's been a consistent, strategic way of looking at how we do things. We just may have changed some processes and formalized some things, added some programs and the like.
Okay. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll have more with members of the Pembroke Hamilton Club. We'll be right back.
Putting down the weapons.
You seeing this?
This month, John Barrett & Son bring us a premium thirst quencher from North Carolina, the Blue Ultra Purified Water. Many other bottled waters use reverse osmosis to reach an acceptable level of purity. Le Bleu uses a 5-step purification process, which includes fractional vapor compression, distillation, and ozonation, assuring purity and a unique, appealing flavor. Consumer testimony repeatedly praises the taste of Le Bleu compared to the other brands, and this, along with superior purity, makes Le Bleu a must-try. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
I'm also thankful and grateful because my greatest value of my life is my legacy.
But why I do it? I feel supposed to do it. I was put here to be here, to do what I'm doing right now. Once I see somebody moving, it's the greatest joy for me. There's a little person being born.
I am thankful that people have given me the trust, for me to empower them, from my players to my family to friends. And that's what I'm thankful for. I'm thankful that people have allowed me and trusted me to be in their life.
You're on mute.
There. Yeah. Welcome back. Umar and Ibu, one of the things that it always seems to get attention is none other than Eddie Derlin when he attends his young people's schools to check up on them. That's one of the things you were referring to about school, Ibu, but just making those appearances as youth coaches to show the young people as well as their parents that it's not all just about the sport; it's about education as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's like our school visits. So the past 2 years, it's been kind of impacted by, obviously the government guidelines and things like that. But normally we have scheduled visits to schools. And this basically, because we have our program from under 5 to under 17s, it spans from preschool all the way to high school. So if you have a 4-year-old at a preschool and they're in our program, the coach is going to come to see you. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of funny to get the reaction of the players. Some of them, huge smile in the face. Some of them head down. It's very interesting to see the reaction that you get. But at the end of the day, it's just us showing up for them to show them that we care about the whole being. So we want to make sure that they're trying their best in school, doing the best that they can. Effort is really something that we really check for. We have these things called scholastic monitoring forms where we go out monthly and send them, give them a piece of paper to go to their school teacher to get a little report. Effort, see how they're making out with general comments, and then they have to return that to their coach. And if they do not return it to their coach, then they will not be able to play in that particular game. So that normally goes on once a month. But as I said, with the COVID restrictions, it's been a bit more challenging for us in these past 2 seasons. But getting back to the school visits, again, that's all organized by the technical committee and the executive. And they go out and reach out to the schools, schedule these meetings. So we tend to have, up to 5 to 6 coaches go to particular schools, show up, make a big deal out of it. go into the classrooms, and some teachers let us have a little talk to the whole class. We're not just talking to the PHC players. So, if you go to Paget Primary, you might have 2 or 3 people in the class, but the coach, someone like Eddie, will go up and speak to everybody. It's a community thing. So we just try to tell them that, yes, we're there for you, and we expect you guys, the kids, to do the best that they can. So for us, it's really important that we get that element of us trying to build the whole person. And schoolwork, education is, top of the list, and it feeds into our program, as I said, with the scholastic monitoring. And further down the line, we have our foundation providing scholarships. So the seeds start from once they're in preschool, really.
So, okay.
Yeah, obviously I know these stories, but it amazes me because Earl, I hate to keep going back there, but let's go back to the days of Coach Neebs Lewis, right? The way the discipline was dealt back then was a little bit different than now. That's why you see this transition, because Gibbs and his trusty sidekick, Mr. Ellie Wilson, had quite a way of discipline any player who came on that field or who came through those gates. And you see, once those obviously icons in the club have moved on, you're seeing that a different approach to discipline, but still being able to reach out to this generation. And a lot of clubs have had a hard time making that change because, Earl, I'm pretty sure somebody down in St. George's probably, he's probably thick-headed anyway, so they probably gave you whole parlor words. But back then, that's how a lot of coaches coach. They coach you hard, or they talk to you hard, or whatever. And you was probably crying a lot of times, but it's all right. But that's what happened back then. Where this is a different approach, where there are standards and things that are put in place. And I say this because I know a lot of these standards are in line with if a lot of these kids were to go away to boarding school. A lot of these things are in place at PAC is what is going to be expected when they go to a boarding school, or once again, to a higher learning. What I want to ask you guys, talk a little bit more about the community involvement, because we know obviously you do the Good Fridays, you do those the visits at Lorraine Restham and the likes in the neighborhood. But just tell us some more of the community things that you guys do at PAC.
Yeah, sure, no problem. Happy to. We do quite a bit in the community, and as Ibu said, the last few years obviously have impacted some of the options that we have to do what we normally do, but certainly is always ready to go as soon as we have these options back, and some of them are coming back into play now. Yeah, right. We do visit the Range Rest Home. We try to target our community and work essentially, and in and around the work area. So yeah, Lorraine's Rest Home is right there. We do we try to do cleanups in the area. We even take the kids up to visit the elderly, just for conversation's sake, or to get some experiences from the older generation. So there's various ways we deal with the rest home, but we do see the importance of keeping that connection for not only for the senior citizens, but also for the youth as well. And we do work with the Eliza Doolittle Society, who is right there outside of PAC, which basically focuses on food and hunger issues. Not only for the homeless, but just for those who are struggling, period. And we tend to do and support their non-perishable food drives and things like that. So wherever we could sort of fit in and help the community, we do it. And also the kids, we tend to be allowed to give community hours, which is what a lot of schools are required for the students throughout the year. They have to accumulate a certain amount of community service hours. And we happily provide opportunities to help our kids achieve those hours. And those particular initiatives do go quite well with helping the kids to do that. And obviously, like you said, there's quite a number of benefits that go with those initiatives as well. And I actually just got an email from our social media team earlier this week, who's working on market initiatives, and they have some things in mind coming up soon to do some cleanups in the railway trail area, sort of in the back of T and Tatum. Also approach Purvis to try to do a cleanup in and around that school. So yeah, as the protocols are opening back up for Bermuda, yeah, we're trying to jump right back in the community and get right back to what we were doing previously. So that's a snapshot. There's a few other things we've got going on, but trying to make use of our time. So yeah, it's a lot going on in that space of community giving back and making sure our kids make the connection of why it's important to give back to the community. So yeah, the kids actually love it. They very rarely complain. They come on board and they're happy to be out there running around the trees picking up trash. So, you know, it's quite fun for most of the time. So it's a lot of win-wins there. Yeah.
How important is it for the parents' involvement as well with their young people within the club?
So it starts at under fives. I'm coaching under fives for the first time this season, but yeah, for the past long time. Yeah. So Mark Wade, Sharice Bean, Robert Bean have been coaching for the past few years at under 5 level. So they really put the stamp on the PHC way from there. So the parents are totally involved in under 5 training. So they're asked to join in some of the passing drills, shooting drills, and things like that. One thing, they are also strongly encouraged to wear black and white, because at the end of our trainings, we have circle time. And if you have a player or a parent that comes in different colors, let's say red or blue or something like that, then they're going to get called out. And the next week, they will definitely be wearing black and white. But these are our cultural values, that we want. If you're going to come support your child who's at PHC, you should be wearing our colors. So we go around with our little army of black and white soldiers all over the island. So that gets planted in there from day one, from under 5s, and it goes all the way up through to under 17s. So a lot of the things that we get started with, and the parents fully understand it, is because they understand it from day one for under 5s, and the same thing goes right through. So they're involved in trainings at under 5s. Obviously, as they get older, it's kind of pulled the parent away a little bit, a little bit less involved in terms of actually physically being on the field, but they are normally informed with the circle times after the training sessions and things like that. So yes, the parents are heavily involved. They we have some parents who become team managers, who basically come and sit on the bench with us and help organize and administrate the team functions, such as jersey washing and things like that, bringing oranges and things like that, making sure the team sheets are filled out properly, helping out the coach where necessary as well. So there's plenty of opportunities for parents to get fully involved in the club. And at a higher level, we have some team managers who've gone up to be executives at our club. So, and they would have started having to wear black and white from under 5s because Mark Wade told them to. so yeah, it starts from day one with us. But yeah, parents are vital to our program.
One of the most important things, we know we're in a society right now where some of our kids are challenged, in many different ways. How do you guys work through that to make sure that person or that youngster's getting the most help they can and still stay in the program?
Yeah, so we monitor, and we try to track and monitor our players. We do it for elite players, and we also do it for at-risk players. So we try to start tracking them from pretty much their first start. And if we start to notice things, certain trends, then we can list them as a player let's say, an at-risk player, for example. So at least every season, once or twice a season, we ask for a list to see, who is potentially at risk. And at the time, you might not see anything particularly wrong with the child, but you might notice a few signs. The parent comes late to pick them up, things like that, which could manifest in something bigger once they turn 12, for example. So we're able to track and monitor those things. And then we, if a situation starts to escalate, then that's when we start to intervene, start asking questions. And depending on how severe it is, then we might have to go external to an external agency or professionals to find out remedies to the situation, because at the end of the day, I myself and most of the coaches may not be qualified for severe instances of at-risk children, but it's something that we monitor, and again, we offer all of our assistance for family mediation and things like that. And again, a lot of the time that we find to be able to turn things around, and at least, or talk to teachers, because we're so close to the parents and teachers, and then if it becomes a very bad situation, then again we have the option to go out to external agencies who are we're fostering better relationships at this point to get a remedy to the situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if I could add a little bit to that, it ties directly into the school visit and scholastic monitoring as well. So it's a bit of a holistic approach that we deal with and monitor the kids. Case in point, if they're having challenges at school, it may not show up at the football pitch. For instance, I could tell you quite frankly, that happens quite a bit where we don't see the signs at the football pitch, but the signs are shown in school, and it comes out when we make the school visits or in the scholastic form delivery. And also the teachers and school principals, they've gotten quite comfortable with us to the point where they would reach out to us directly and say, we have a problem with this child that we're concerned, and we know how much they love football and PHC. Can you come and talk to them for us? Because they recognize the bond that we have and how we're able to inspire our kids to change, even through our different levels that we might pull at the club level, being, you can't play if you don't have a scholastic form things. So we do have bits and pieces that we can do to inadvertently persuade the child or the group. Sometimes it's not the child. I'll be quite frank. Sometimes it could be the parent. Which is sad to hear, but we're realistic about where the problem may or may not lie, not wanting to judge, but just wanting to help. So yeah, it's a very good way for us to keep our finger on the pulse, as it were, in these different manners, so we can be able to update our profiles on players and say, okay, this is something to worry about. We didn't see it at the football field, but a teacher or principal has flagged it to us, so that's worthy of keeping an eye on it. So it plays out in many different ways, but we find that it's very beneficial to have that close relationship with these schools.
But we're going to take another commercial break. When we come back, we're going to get more from the Pembroke Hamilton Club. We'll be right back.
The history of everyday use of spices extends back thousands of years into antiquity. Since 1976, the Frontier Natural Foods Co-op has been bringing a wide range of exciting and authentic flavors to the table. A comprehensive range of ancient traditional herbs and spices produced organically and sustainably. The results are good news for the environment and more robust, fragrant essential oils in these natural seasonings. This month, we're featuring Frontier Natural Products, at least 95% organic salt-free lemon pepper. Lindo's. Why go anyplace else?
I'm also thankful and grateful because my greatest value of my life is my legacy.
But why I do it? I feel supposed to do it. I was put here to be here, to do what I'm doing right now. Once I see somebody moving, it's the greatest joy for me. There's a little person being born.
I am thankful that people have given me the trust, for me to empower them, from my players to my family to friends, and that's what I'm thankful for. I'm thankful that people have allowed me and trusted me to be in their life.
and welcome back. Just to give an update, up at Somerset, Somerset Trojans are leading Hamilton Parish 1-0 in their FA Challenge Cup, a first round match. And I know at the top of the hour, later this evening, PHC take on Crossroads in a makeup game. But Jay, you have any other questions for these two gentlemen?
Yeah, guys. So we talked a little bit off air, but I want to bring it to light because the template that I see that PAC has formulated over the years, and I said a template where you have a club side and you have a foundation side. Earl, we had Dennytown, we had Devar and the Dennytown family on probably about 3-4 months ago, talking about their new strategic plan and changing the model around the Western Star Sports Club. I've even spoke with Stephen Outerbridge this past week, some of the new initiatives that they're trying to change their model down at Bailey's Bay. So you see our sports clubs across the island has been struggling by that old model that was predicated a lot of times on people coming through these stands. You know, everybody bragged about 3,000 people showing up at the games and the vendors and, you know, Slim sold a lot of Cracker Jacks up there. You know what I'm saying? PAC and peanuts, right? But in saying that, when we're looking at the bar sales that a lot of clubs are predicated on trying to survive off of, and then you get hit with the recession, then you get hit with COVID. How have you guys been able to not only, and I'm just from somebody on the outside looking in, but not only look like you're managing, but also thriving because you're still being able to keep your sponsorship and also keep your programs going? Give us a little bit of insight of the template when it comes to the club side, but also the foundation side, how you've been able to be successful in both sides during these times.
Yeah, no problem, Jay. Very good questions there. So first and foremost, the PAC Club is totally independent from the PAC Foundation, which is actually a registered charity unto itself. And they operate administratively and financially totally independent from the PAC Football Club. Obviously, they're affiliated with the club because their main mantra is providing scholarships to kids, and specifically kids involved at PAC. But yeah, the club itself, it has a separate executive, separate procedures, administrative, all separate and independent from the PAC Foundation itself, which was another bit of foresight back in the day, which club members at the time felt was a wise decision to separate the foundation from the club itself. Because we do recognize there's a bit of stigma in and around sports clubs in Bermuda over the years and things that have gone on, whether it's reality or perception. I believe there's a stigma out there. And we actually at PAC, we're working hard to change that stigma. We want to show what we do and how we work independently and how we organize ourselves. Case in point, I'll just highlight the foundation real quickly. They've been in existence, I believe, since 2004. And they have actually, over the years, handed out close to around $525,000 since 2004 to in and around 50 different kids coming through the PAC programs. And not just football. Like you said, we had a drum corps, we had majorettes, a softball team, bowling team. We have a whole bunch of stuff. So anybody within the PHC framework has access to apply for scholarships through the PAC Foundation. And they have their own separate requirements and process for handing out those distributions, none of which the PAC club is involved with at all. And even the club itself, where they need assistance from the foundation, would have to request and write in just like anyone would to any other foundation. You know, there's not a side phone call and things of that nature. It's a formal process and procedure that we have to go through when we request funding for a specific reason. And they obviously have their own financials that they have to show to the Registrar General, that all charities have to show what they're doing with that money. So we see the efficiency and the benefit there to having those entities separate. And not only that, we've actually been told, quite frankly, that's something that most clubs should probably aspire to in terms of wanting to get funding from those who are giving to various needs or community clubs and services they provide. So even spilling on to that, I can tell you back in the day when you mentioned about the club closing down, I would say it was a bit of a blessing in disguise, to be quite honest, because we didn't have a bar. We did not have a bar in and around our youth football like we had in the past. And we've been told, quite frankly, that that's a positive sign in terms of what sponsors and funding entities are looking to see in terms of how programs are run. So even at this point, we don't have a bar functioning at all until a senior team game on a Sunday. There's no other time you could come to PHC and look to get anything bar related. And quite frankly, that's quite intentional. It maybe was a bit of stumbling into it back then, but we've kept it that way quite intentionally. So that is not in and around our youth program, whatsoever. And we continue to push along that strategic direction going forward. We don't have any intention in the near future to change that particular model. And so we're quite happy with the benefits to that. And quite frankly, it got rid of some, what I would say, some of the less positive elements that could be around a club when it has a bar open 24/7, as it were. We've seen a number of benefits by not having a bar operational on a full-time basis or even part-time basis, but more on a very semi-part-time basis for a few hours on a Sunday. That's it. We've seen the benefits there. And I also wouldn't want to underscore my members at the PAC Foundation, because they're doing great work over there. And actually, similarly as our community involvement is, everybody involved at the foundation are either past players, former coaches of PAC, or former parents of PAC who had their kids come through the club. And they're all dedicated volunteers. They don't get paid to do the work they're doing. And they're all financial and corporate professionals, I might add, who've been to, overseas, like you mentioned. They've gotten their college degrees, and they've come back to lend a hand in the PAC space, however they see fit. So again, very much volunteer-based and very much community-oriented. And those things that we put through to the kids going through, it tends to benefit us on the back end as people become professionals and, contributing citizens to society. They want to come back and help PAC. So, it's working out.
We also did, during COVID, we did a campaign called Character Champions. So it's called COVID Won't Beat Me. So that kind of kept the program going for our youngsters, because we couldn't play football. And a lot of kids basically couldn't go outside. So we joined with a third party from the United States, and we did these webinars, like I said, called COVID Won't Beat Me. And we joined up with certain players from across the world. We had people from Trinidad, Bahamas, the US, the UK, and we did these webinars, and it was all focused on building character. So it's called Character Champions, and we looked at attitude, character, and leadership, and how you can bring a positive mindset to football and to life in general. So kids had homework to do. Homework like, can you juggle with your left foot 6 times? Obviously, depending on the age group. How you could be helpful around the house. You have to do things such as call your grandmother every day, or somebody like that, show gratitude and things like that. So during the off season, which is pretty long between 2020 and 2021, and the amount of time that we missed on the field, we were able to keep our togetherness with these webinars. And moving forward, our plan is to keep those things going, but at no cost to our players and members. So those things are very important. There's a saying that football is 90% mental, but most of the time when you train football, it's running around the pitch, kicking the ball. There's very little to do with mental, but we recognize that, and we're really trying to push and highlight that for our players, because we see the positive results that come from that. So for us, that was very important, to keeping everybody together as a group and keeping us together as one still. Because when we came back, it was almost like we never left.
How do you guys identify picking youth coaches? I know there's a lot of people that will put their hand up, but obviously they have to go through the courses and all. But who decides who's going to be with what group and how you guys manage it down? Because even you have already said you're with the under fives. This is the first time you've been in that group. So how did you manage that?
Well, there's numerous ways you can get pulled in, right? So basically, this year I have a son, he's 4. So he's going to training, and there was a need for an extra coach. And it's like, okay, well, if I'm gonna go to the practice, you might as well help. So, right. and for me, that's how I got into under fives. But for me, initially starting coaching, I believe that I called my mate Robert Bean to say, I want to help you for a couple sessions. So I go there for one session. Then Mark Wade, who had seen me a couple of weeks before, I believe, because at the time I was substitute teaching. And he was going for a run in St. David somewhere. I was at Clearwater. And he saw me. So anyway, I was at the training with Robert. And then he come up to me after the training session and say, look, there's a team, under 10 team, and we need a coach. And they think you could be the coach. And I'm like, no, in my head, right? And I say, all right, cool, I'll do it. And then, yeah, like I'm still here 15 years later.
He's got a good eye. He's got a good eye.
Yeah. So most of the time it's usually former players, sometimes parents. And then, a lot of times you take a step back and look at, the personality and how they get along with kids. And then as you see that person getting closer and closer towards coaching, they say, all right, now we got them. And then we would just, ask them if they're interested and then move from there. But, we do obviously look at personalities and profiles to match each age group. So the lucky thing for us is that we have a strong group of coaches that have been coaching for a while now. And again, they've been part of the PHC family years before they've actually been coaches. So in an element, they do know what our culture is and how it's been going through the years. So sometimes for us, it's just about fine-tuning the coaches in terms of where we are today and what we're striving to be in the next few years.
Sure. We're going to take another commercial break. When we come back, we'll have more with members from the Pembroke Hamilton Club. We'll be right back.
I'm also thankful and grateful because my greatest value of my life is my legacy.
But why I do it? I feel supposed to do it. I was put here to be here, to do what I'm doing right now. Once I see somebody moving, it's the greatest joy for me. There's a little person being born.
I am thankful that people have given me the trust, for me to empower them, from my players to my family to friends. And that's what I'm thankful for. I'm thankful that people have allowed me and trusted me to be in their life.
Putting down the weapons.
You seeing this?
Most of us identify pasta with the joys of Italian food, the most popular cuisine on the planet. After all, pasta is the staple food of Italy, where hundreds of varieties are enjoyed daily. While traveling in the Far East, the founder of the Explore Cuisine company was surprised and impressed by the variety of exotic pastas he found, sampled, and enjoyed there, and resolved to bring this knowledge back to enrich the cuisine of the West. This month, we're featuring delicious Explore Cuisine organic mung bean fettuccine and black bean spaghetti. Lindo, why go anyplace else?
And welcome back. One of the things that I've been very impressed with PhD is the youth girls program that you guys see every Saturday, because without a women's league of sorts until now recently, keeping the young girls motivated and playing, especially at a young age, mixing in with the boys and then eventually getting a girls team. How important is that for the club itself to establish and make sure that everybody that wants to play in a particular sport is given that opportunity?
Sure. Yeah, I would say first and foremost, we at the club, we're looking at it to support the BFA. First and foremost, I think, because obviously we can't play by ourselves no matter how many females we have in our program. So we're very entrenched in supporting the BFA strategic plan around women's football in general. And Iba and myself have been right there from the beginning, about 3 or 4, maybe even 5 years ago now. Time is getting away. That we've been in and around working with the BFA on behalf of PHC, however we can, to get that females program up and running. And now into the introduction of reintroduction, I should say, of the Women's League. And again, we're right there to support them. So as soon as we heard that announcement, we started making promotions through our social media platforms. You know, PhD is going to have a team. We didn't have one single player, but we were committed to getting enough players to put a team and to help the league kick off and to thrive. So we see it as an island-wide thing first, and however we can get support that initiative. But we've taken it on to heart. I know Ibu and myself, we're very fond of these days because we have daughters ourselves. So we can see the immediate tangible benefits to these initiatives. But yeah, we've in a short time, probably 18 months or less, we've quadrupled our amount of females in our program, if I'm not mistaken. From 1 year to the next, we basically went up about 400%, just in a short period of promoting ourselves and saying, you know, we're open for females football. Are you interested? Come down and join PAC Lady Zebras. Yeah, we were able to jump up from, like, I think we had one team at the time who just came in organically, who girls just wanted to play. They ended up, some of them playing with the boys at first, but we were able to formulate enough of them into one single team. And the very next year, we had 4 girls teams. So yeah, we're very proud of our work in that space and building our female program. And we'll continue to push it. Yeah, we're definitely gonna have a team in the Women's League. We have enough players to be able to say that we'll definitely enter a team. And who knows, maybe we'll be able to have 2 teams. We'll see what goes on there. But our full goal is to try to have as many females in our program as we have males. So if we have 2 right now, capacity as far as BFA requirements is we can have 2 teams in every age group, essentially, or roughly 2 teams. So we want to get as many female teams as we have male teams, and we're off to a good start there. We're halfway there in only 18 months. So hopefully it can continue to grow, and the girls have a place to come out and play at PAC for sure. So yeah, we're very much pushing that initiative. Ibu, I want to make sure I leave anything out.
Yeah, so I just want to say that the help of social media is huge in this space, because so my daughter started to play when she was about 3, and there was a picture taken that was put on Facebook. It was of 4 girls, and then the following week, another like 4 girls came, and then it started to grow from there. And let's say 2 years later, the Women's League started, and that group of girls was our first team in under 7s. Now they're under 9s. They were under 7s playing in the under 9 league, and now they're under 11s now. And we have older under 13 team, and then we have an under 9 and under 7 team, And then we also have some girls that are playing with the boys and under fives. So, and then we have some girls that are also playing with the boys in the under 15 age group as well.
Yep.
So it's almost going straight through our program now. And like Omar mentioned, the senior team had their first training on Sunday. So there's going to be another one this Sunday. And, that side of our program, that's where the most of our growth is coming from. And, we're going to need more space at TN Tatum because, currently the under 11s and under 13s, we train at Clyde Best on a Tuesday because if you ever drive past TN Tatum during the week, you will know that, there's a lot of people out there every week. So, the focus, yes, we're trying to grow the women's game in alignment with the BFA. And, so far we've been pretty successful, but I think there's definitely more to come. And I know the girls are really excited this week because the tournament for the girls is starting on the weekend. So, hopefully you have your camera out early and you can take some pictures, some video of that tournament this weekend.
Yeah, if I could piggyback off of that really quickly, is actually formulating some of our strategic objectives, to be quite frank, because we've prioritized a lighting project simply because we need more room at Tatum, lighted space. We have lighting down there that PHC erected and PHC pays for on a monthly basis, and we want to extend the lighting so we could make use of the whole field. So that we have more room for our girls and females, because as we add teams, we need more space. As Ibu alluded to, we have so many teams now, they don't even all fit in our training facilities. So we would like to get everybody training all there at the same location, and hopefully our lighting project will bring that to fruition. And it has more benefits than just your PAC, because if you've ever, like I said, seen other events going on down there, rallies, things of that nature, whenever you see the lights on, PAC is paying for that free of charge. We just let them use it. They ask us, we let them use it, and we just see it as another community service item, as it were. So yeah, it has more benefits than just to PAC. So we're really pushing that project and hoping we can get that done sooner than later.
Jay?
Guys, I got two questions, but before I get to my last two questions, I just want to address my man Turtle, right? A funny story, because Earl knows I have a very creative mind, little 5-year-old, and actually just this morning in the car, because we had these talks in the car. My radio is not working for some reason, so we have these talks. Daddy, I know your favorite color. Is there any black and white? You ain't got black and white in your thing. I'm like, well, I got a few extra colors. You just like black and white. So, Turtle, if you want to know, ask my daughter. She'll tell you what my colors are. But on a serious note, two things. One probably for each side. How do you guys manage? Because primarily football in this country has basically been seasonal, right? How are you guys able to still engage with these kids during the summer periods, or when we're out of season, I should say, because we'll be out of season in another couple months, another month or so, right? How you guys are still able to engage and also keep your programs up? That's question one. And question two, let's talk about the elephant in the room. We're talking about discipline on the field and regarding to referees. I do see some of your players, current players and ex-players, picking up the whistle. How important it is that whether we're implementing or requiring some of our players to take these courses, whether to become a referee or not, but how important it would be for them to take these courses so they have a better understanding. And I know, like I said, we know that the Mr. Cranston Williams of the Referees Association is trying so hard to get all you guys in the classroom, right? So I'll put a plug in for him. But how important do you think to the PAC template? Can you speak on those two questions?
Yeah. First of all, the first question in terms of sort of off-season things and how we keep people engaged. I wouldn't say we have a formalized off-season program, but it's safe to say that our external programs in terms of sporting teams that we offer, that helps us keep connect. Because quite frankly, a lot of our footballers go on to play for those other teams. Some of them are also in the drum corps. Some of them go and play for the cricket team. and also our coaches and parents. So they end up transitioning across programs. So a lot of touch points, a lot of closeness, and this drives a lot of the community feel that we have at the club, in terms of how people feel our coaches are dedicated, committed, giving back to the youth, see them in the street and the kids light up. So it's very apparent the connection that the kids have to the program, whether it's during the season or in the so-called off season. And some of these other programs and sports teams we have, they directly contribute to that connection as well. In terms of the refereeing, I think it's just a matter of us pushing down to the program the value of this type of things. Because I could tell you firsthand, my children are involved with the referee program, bringing the youth into and training them up to be future referees. So I encourage my kids to get involved, not just because of a PAC mandate, but because it shows things to you from a different perspective. Oftentimes as players, we don't understand what a referee goes through, what a referee has to deal with, even by just making a call that the teams don't agree with. So we see a lot of benefits to people, footballers particularly, going and getting to understand the referee side, to have a better appreciation for the referees. So they can, when they become back players, they can remember those experiences and sort of change and adjust how they may want to say something to the ref. You know what I mean? So it's a direct correlation there. And we don't mandate it, but we heavily encourage it. And quite a number of our youth have gone into the refereeing program. Yeah.
Well, just to give you guys a chance to sum up, anything else you want to discuss before we wrap up?
I have one, but I'll let Ibu if he has anything first.
No, I don't have anything deep to say, but I know that the under 11 girls are watching this show, so I'd like to give them a shout out, because remember they were on your show last year, Earl. So
Yes.
giving them a shout out and good luck to them this weekend, and to everybody at our club, good luck this weekend. I know we're wrapping up our season in the next few weeks, so I wish everybody all the best in the next few weeks. And thank you guys for having us on the show today.
Not a problem.
Yep, indeed. And I'll just close off by mentioning some things that we found out from a recent survey we did with our base, and which is actually reaffirmed some of the things we have believed about our program, and also giving us some insight into things we may look to offer and build into the program as well. So in terms of feedback, we were outright told we need to go out there and tell our story and try, get more funding, because people realize we're very volunteer-based, committed and dedicated, but a volunteer model, operational model, has its limits, as it were. So we've been told that, stop being so humble. Go out there and tell everybody what you do. You're not just a football club. You're much more than a football club. We've heard that echoed back to us so many times that, we have to take it on. Other things like building partnerships with overseas clubs and schools that they're linked to help provide pathways outside of Bermuda. We're also looking into having a professional child welfare officer, because like Ibu said, we recognize that while we're committed and dedicated, we're limited in terms of professional knowledge and how to deal with certain things and situations. And having a professional on board will give us a great opportunity to up our game and provide a better service in that way. So we're taking on a lot of the feedback that we were given. And one of the other ones was launching a website to be able to give PAC more vision in the community, but for also people to find out more things about us without having to contact a person or email somebody. They can go on the website and find out whatever they need to know, forms, contact numbers and emails and the like. And we've actually been working on that for the past few months, and I'm hoping to launch a website pretty soon. My social media team might beat me up for leaking that. I think it's worthwhile to mention to the public that, you will be seeing a brand new website from us. And I'm very proud of the work our social media team is doing as well. So, I'll leave it off there. And thanks again, guys, for having us on. And we appreciate the opportunity.
Well, I really want to thank you both for coming and sharing what the work community has as an option from the Pembroke Hamilton Club. You guys are seen out in the community doing so many things. As you said, you're not just a football club, although a lot of people will just look at you as a football club. But after a night like tonight, I think they'll have a better perspective of what you guys do in the community, not just on the field, but off the field. And the likes that you have, like the drum corps, you have the majorettes, you have the netball teams, you have softball teams, you have so many different elements within the club structure that actually makes you a community club. So I want to thank you. Any parting words, Jay?
No, guys, once again, just on behalf of us, we just want to salute you guys, all the committees, all the parents, all the volunteers, because once again, you know, it takes a village to raise our children. And so often we hear a lot of times we're all dependent on government or other agencies to actually take care of home. And PAC, for a lot of kids, is home. So I just want to say thank you to you guys, salute to you guys, and forever Zebras. And turn on, wait for my jersey, or my umbrella, or my star, or anything, you know.
Hey, when he comes to coach one of the teams, he can get anything he wants.
Sure. A lot of free giveaways.
That's what it's going to take.
Have a good night, gentlemen. Thank you.
Hey, guys.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.